Hello, everyone. We're going to continue to talk about the era of good feelings, where not all the feelings were good. Funny how that works out. All right. Attitudes of slavery. Second Middle Passage. So, the United States says you can't get any more slaves from Africa. All right. So, it abolished slave trade from Africa. Um, well, you got to get slaves from somewhere if you're a Southern farmer. So the Second Middle Passage is trading slaves pretty much down the Mississippi River, up and down the Mississippi River. Okay, where you're just taking where you're moving slaves from one plantation to the other. So the Second Middle Passage is moving slaves up and down the Mississippi River. Okay, abolitionists are mainly in the North. Okay, and so abolitionists are individuals that want to end slavery. They feel it is morally wrong. Okay. Also, abolitionists aren't economically tied to it, so it's easier for them to say, hey, we want to end slavery. Abolitionists are going to be seen as radical at this time. Okay. But abolitionists are in the North. They want to end slavery because it's morally wrong. And also, they were not economically tied to slavery like the southern states were. Okay. Back to Africa movement. All right. So this is Marcus Garvey. I think is going to be one of these individuals later on. But back to Africa movement is like, all right, look, let's just take the slaves and repatriate them back to Africa. And we'll put them up in let them live in a country called Liberia. So Monroe, was for this. Okay, and actually James Monroe was for this, and actually the capital of Liberia is Monrovia, named after James Monroe. Now, mind you, you're not sending slaves. Like some of these slaves are from Africa, some of the slaves are from the Caribbean, and also it's not like they all lived in Liberia, so this doesn't really fix a lot of issues. But this was the Back to Africa movement. Let's take the slaves and put them all back into a country in Africa called Liberia. All right. The big issue with slavery is that you have, slave states and then you have free states. Okay. So the United States is purchasing all this new land. You got the Louisiana Purchase. All right, they're going to end up getting Florida. You're looking at buying country in the northwestern portion of North America, so the Oregon country. All right, so you have Spanish land. You can't. Free states and slave states aren't going to be excited if a new state comes in that is either is against their opinions on slavery. So the Missouri Compromise says, all right, here, look, we're going to bring Missouri in as a state. Okay. We're going to bring Maine in. So we're going to take Massachusetts. All right. And then we're going to carve out of that as, the northern part, and that's going to be Maine. Okay. And so you'll have a free state for Maine, and then Missouri is a slave state. Okay. And anything south of 36 degree 30, which is the bottom portion, like the bottom border of Missouri, anything below that will be slave. Going towards the end of the Louisiana Purchase, and anything above that can be free coming in. Now, if you take a look at that, like the level of territory you're having off there isn't equal. All right, so this is going to be a recurring problem. Okay, so this is the Missouri Compromise. All right, so this is 1832. All right, so Missouri comes in as a slave state. We're going to carve out Maine from Massachusetts. Okay, and that will be a free state. So now we're staying at equal here, representation wise. And we're saying, below 3630 is going to be anything coming in would be a slave state. Anything above would be a free state. Nationalism and foreign policy. Okay. War of 1812 is seen as the second war for independence. All right. Britain is 0-2 against the United States. All right. So after the War of 1812, Britain's like, all right, fine. We're not they're independent. We're not going to try and get them back anymore. Okay. They're independent. All right. However, Britain's going to want to look to expand and take lands in other parts of North America. So this is where you're going to have some issues with Pacific Northwest. Okay. And Britain is going to, have control of a lot of Canada. Okay. But after the War of 1812, Britain's finally all right, nope, U.S. independent. Okay. What parts of the United States were in dispute with Russia and Great Britain? It's the Oregon Country. Okay. So all of this land from Alaska all the way down into present day Washington State and Oregon. So that's Oregon Country. And all three, the United States, Britain, and Russia are going to lay claim to parts of those lands, and it's going to be an issue that's not going to be figured out until the 1850s. All right, Florida, America's Wang. Okay, how does the United States acquire Florida? Well, Spain needed money, and so we're going to pay Spain the money for it. We easily could have just taken it, and actually, Andrew Jackson is going to lead U.S. forces into Florida to attack the Seminole tribes and the Spanish. Okay, kind of pretty much on his own. And the United States, pays Spain money for Florida after Jackson invades. So it's kind of Jesus, Jackson, it was very much an act of war that Jackson kind of did on his own there. But the United States is actually going to pay money to Spain for Florida. All right. Seminole War, as I just alluded to, that is Andrew Jackson attacking Seminole tribes in Florida. This is going to be, attacking these tribes is going to be hugely popular among United States population. Andrew Jackson is going to become a national hero because of this, and kind of emboldens him to kind of, his idea of I can pretty much do what I want, which pretty much is what he's going to do throughout the course of his time in the military and then in the presidency. All right, that is all I got. Later, man. Bye, Carly.